Now, I'm not gonna lie, I've been feeling really nostalgic as of recently, and I've been getting myself back into Nintendo games, so I feel like now would be the best time to make a video like this. And yes, I am aware that it's almost been a year since my last upload. In fact, I never actually forgot, but this time I swear I was actually busy. Please believe me. But you know what? A lot has happened. We can take a look right here. We saw this, and even this. Matter of fact, World Eclipse.
Yo, we about to go watch the Mario movie, you know what I'm saying? Got your boy Forkmaster Sam, Theater 12, you know what I'm saying? About to go crazy, boy Mario. I had a quick little bathroom break before I hop in, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be a journey, so hold on.
Look at that.
Whoa.
November?
Yeah, I definitely won't be watching that one. Alright, so yo, that was it. It was good. Samuel, what do you think? What do you think, Samuel?
That's better than Sonic 2.
I don't know. As an overall movie, maybe not. As a video game movie,
it's definitely.
Yeah, for sure. It was beautiful. Back to the video, whichever I'm filming. I don't even remember what I'm filming at this point, but yeah, back to that video.
Yeah, anyways, this video is all about rating the best game on every Nintendo console. This is partially my opinion and also a bit of the general opinion. This is also a no handheld list, so I'm only talking about the actual systems, including the Switch. But yeah, let's get started. Oh yeah, and no Virtual Boy, because like, what's even on that thing anyway? Now we're going to start off with the NES, a perfect example of how to make a successful gaming system. It was quite literally one of the key factors in reviving the video game industry after the crash in '83. Now when I think of the NES, I think of two main games, Super Mario Bros. And Super Mario Bros. 3. And while it is kind of tough to pick between the two, I have to give it to the original Super Mario Bros. A game as simplistic as this introduced millions, and by no exaggeration, millions of people to video games. This game is what pretty much set up a portion of Nintendo's success for decades to come, since their biggest icon is Mario. Well, I mean like, and technically Pokemon, but like, shut up. The success of Super Mario Bros. Can be attributed to the solidarity and simplicity of its core experience. I mean, not only that, but Mario is still easily the most iconic and popular gaming character of all time, so I feel as if no other game should really deserve it. Now, I know this wasn't really Mario's first game because there was obviously Donkey Kong, but this was all before Mario was even referred to as Mario. And this is also his first main game, so yeah, this game still holds up fantastically as a 2D platformer and has been remade and ported plenty of times. It's also one of the most speedrun games out there. I feel like for a game like this, I don't really have to explain myself that much, or else I would just be stretching it out. Everyone's seen it and everyone's played it. It will forever be one of Nintendo's greatest creations. The SNES or Super Nintendo has a very long list of amazing games to choose from. Just to list some of these titles off, we have Donkey Kong Country, Kirby's Dream Course, Super Mario World, Star Fox, Super Metroid, Earthbound, and so many more. But there's one game in particular that stands out the most to me and to many others, and with a bit of bias, that is Super Mario World. A game that took Mario Bros 1 and 3 and pretty much just said, yo, we could do better. And they did exactly that. This game is so good, and some would even go as far as saying that it's one of the best games of all time. But honestly, Super Mario World was such a huge step up from the NES Mario games since they've added and worked on so many things. The art style, the amazing music, variety of power-ups, and this was even the game that introduced Yoshi. It was all an astonishing leap forward in comparison to the previous games. Many of their gameplay features became so iconic that they continued to use them in the games that followed. Hell, we even finally got a save game feature, so that alone was huge. Super Mario World also has amazing levels and boss fights too. I feel as overall there was so much passion put into this game, and I'd even argue that there was more passion put in on this game rather than almost any other 2D Mario game. The N64 was a console that honestly influenced gaming in many ways. We have a game like Ocarina of Time, which is considered one of the greatest games of all time. Also, GoldenEye 007 is a really good example of a game that has influenced an entire genre because of it. But the most influential and popular game on this console that deserves to be the best would easily go to Mario 64. Now, I feel like the closest contender to this one would have been Ocarina of Time, but, you know, I like Mario. Now, don't get me wrong, there are so many other games that could have been chosen. Games like Smash 64, Mario Kart 64, Mario Party, Pokemon Stadium, and the list goes on. But Mario 64 is not only the beginning of 3D Mario games, but it is one of the first 3D platformers ever made, and it helped define this genre so much, like how Mario and the NES did. There was no other company that could have made a 3D platformer that would even compete with this game in my opinion for at least a few years. People still consider this to be the best Mario game to date, but other than that, it's also the reason all the other 3D Mario games are a thing today since it is the first one. So yeah, Mario 64 is easily the best game on it. It has amazing level design, sounds, and so much more. What makes this game so different is the fact that it was the first Mario game at the time that was non-linear and offered a sort of freedom. There was more than just an up-down, left-right kind of gameplay style thanks to the N64 joystick, and I'd say that the controls are kinda outdated to be honest, but that doesn't really necessarily make the game bad in any way. I just tend to have some difficulties when it comes to adjusting to the controls after not playing for a long time. Regardless though, they're so revolutionary and I find it impressive that they were able to make something like that in the 90s. The overall game is so unique and has so much charm to it. It feels like a timeless game that will forever be considered great, and that's why it's up here. Onto the Gamecube, and I think Mario Sunshine. I'm joking. We're taking a break from Mario this time. In my eyes, Luigi's Mansion is the best game on the Gamecube. Am I biased? No. Luigi's Mansion is genuinely one of my favorite games of all time. It has so much charm to it. Now, to be fair, it wasn't easy to decide what game I'd pick. The Gamecube is one of Nintendo's best eras for video games besides the Wii and the Switch. They've all had so much variety. But when it comes to the contenders for the Gamecube, I'd have to say that it's between Mario Sunshine, Metroid Prime, Mario Strikers, Luigi's Mansion, and Smash Melee. Now, when it comes to everyone else, any of the games I named could be easily picked, but I'm also basing it off of my own opinion. I've already talked about it a good amount in my top 10 videos, so I'll try not to be repetitive here. The setting of the old mansion in this game is incredible, and since the game is old, it also gives it that spooky vintage feel that I love so much. The expressions of Luigi are also awesome in this game. You often hear him humming the mansion theme as you progress, and it's very dynamic as it can change depending on how much health you have. The lower in health, the more scared he sounds. This game also has one of my absolute favorite soundtracks ever. Like, they were really in the studio cooking up some heat for this game. And the gameplay just feels awesome to me. The GameCube controller allows it to have a very smooth experience, as, let's be honest, that controller is honestly amazing. I really love this game because it's done so much for Nintendo. This is one of the few games out of the Mario series that had a very, very unusual gameplay style. I mean, of course there's been Mario Kart and Mario Party, but besides those side games, Mario is mainly a platformer. Luigi's Mansion is straight up a perfect game in my eyes, and I will never stop loving it. The Wii is another one of my personal favorites, and it has so many games to choose from. My options here were Galaxy 1, 2, Super Mario Bros. Wii, Wii Sports, and Mario Kart Wii. But after a really long time of thinking, I decided to go with Galaxy 2 on this one. Super Mario Galaxy 2 is easily one of the best 3D platformers of all time. If you've seen my top 10, you know the love I have for this game. It reiterates amazing concepts, controls, and story from Mario Galaxy 1 while innovating some amazing new things. The first game gave us the option to play levels in the order that we prefer and had a lot more of an open level design. It had an amazing hub world, but in contrast to the first game, Galaxy's 2 level design was a lot more focused on platforming and had one of the best world hubs. It had so much personality for a starship as small as this one. I had also picked Galaxy 2 as my choice because of the pacing of the game being a lot quicker and more action-packed than the first. It added new power-ups, had great music, amazing and fluid controls, and level design. The power-ups were so new and innovative, ones like the Cloud and Rock Mushroom, and there's honestly so many more I could name. The music was something that stood out the most for me since it's all orchestrated beautifully, plus it fits really well for a game like this. I personally think that this is one of the best video game soundtracks too, alongside the first Galaxy. Galaxy 2 is everything that the first game offered, but brings even more to the table. A lot of people alongside myself kind of consider this game to be more of an expansion rather than a sequel, since it had so much potential to do even more, yet the game is still utter perfection. Nintendo Wii U. So this is the console that I never actually had the chance to own, sadly, because I did actually think it was a highly underrated console. But I did have a couple of friends who did have the Wii U, so I had a decent amount of time spent playing it. When it comes down to the Wii U, and while I do think that they have an insane library, I honestly think the best game on the system is Super Mario Maker. This is one of those games that deserves so much more popularity than it had at the time, which it was still decently popular. Obviously in present time, it's changed since its sequel on the Switch is one of the most sold games on the console. But as we all know, the Wii U wasn't as successful. Obviously this video isn't about the Wii U, but Super Mario Maker is one of the best Mario games created in my opinion because of many reasons. For starters, it let the fans and consumers finally get a chance to create and innovate their own Mario levels, which brought so much originality to the table. In this game, essentially, you are your own developer and you can create whatever you desire. They put the blocks in your hands and let you make literally whatever comes to mind. Whether you'd recreate levels or make brand new ones that no one could have ever thought of before, it was entertaining because almost none of the levels would be linear like the average stage and you'd never know what to expect. This game has also worked perfectly with the Wii U gamepad because it was so convenient to touch and drag blocks and items, and rather than using buttons to do all of that. Another thing that's pretty cool about the game that never really made it to the sequel was the amiibo support. Now, it didn't really affect the gameplay at all, but it was cool to have some costumes to help match the theme of the level you're making. It brought back the best 2D Mario game styles so that people can create the coolest things possible. Now, in a way, I felt like it kind of set the bar for what Mario levels should look like. So many of them presented a level of mastery to where it actually takes more than a few tries and some genuine practice to beat a level. And beating that level that took you an hour, there's truly no better feeling than that. Now the final console I'm on to is the Switch, and this was easily the hardest one to do. See, when it comes to the Switch's library, it offers absolutely anything and everything. It even has some of Nintendo's best games to date. The Switch also includes emulators for the NES, SNES, N64, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, and the Sega Genesis. Now obviously those aren't games from the Switch, so I'm not counting those, but I'm just showing how much this console actually offers. The Switch even has almost every main Nintendo title from the Wii U ported. It has a long list of Zelda games including Breath of the Wild, one of the most critically acclaimed video games of all time. Pokemon? Yep, there's a bunch of those games too. Mario? Of course. Games like Mario Kart, Odyssey, Mario Maker 2, Mario Rabbids, Luigi's Mansion 3, Mario Party, and many, many more. I mean, Mario Maker 2 is a way better version of the original, and I couldn't even consider it to be one of the best, and that alone says a lot about how many incredible games are on this console. And with Pikmin 4 that just released, there isn't a single game that I can think of that's not on the Switch. So for this one, I really had to narrow it down between 4 games in particular. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, especially after the new DLC that offers more than 48 maps and 6 new characters. Then you got Mario Odyssey, Smash Ultimate, and Breath of the Wild. Now, I'm not really a Zelda fan all that much, so personally, I feel like it's not fair if I were to pick it, but I have to at least acknowledge it. So it's between the other 3. While Odyssey isn't my favorite 3D Mario game, I can agree that objectively it is the best Mario experience to date. Easily has the smoothest controls and everything. Then Mario Kart 8, which is easily the best Mario Kart by far. The game offers some amazing maps while remastering the classics. It's literally the reason I bought my Switch. As expected though, the best game on the Switch is Smash Ultimate. Now, Smash Ultimate is the biggest fighting game of all time and one of the biggest crossover games of all time, probably alongside Multiverses and Fortnite. There's so many diverse characters, maps, movesets, and so much more to offer. Now, we all know about Smash and why the game is praised so highly. Smash Ultimate's unique gimmick was the fact that they brought everyone back plus more, and the addition of World of Light and Spirits. Now, as I've previously mentioned in a past video, I don't really love World of Light all that much, but I do think the spirits are pretty cool. It's not something I spend a lot of time with, but it's always something I could dive into and sink some hours experimenting with. The game was also massive when it came to its quote-unquote hype. These character reveals would rack in hundreds of thousands of viewers live, and that alone could have kept the game thriving for another 5 years if they decided to add more characters. And then gameplay-wise, we all know Smash. I don't feel it's necessary that I get into it that much because we've all heard it before and we've all played it. But man, is it iconic. And that just about wraps up the video. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like or subscribe. Feel free to comment. And until the next one, peace.